What is up guys, Wraec is here with a new video, and today I want to talk about the hero with the highest damage potential in the game, and I'm of course talking about Carolina. Carolina isn't really a secret tip. She's in one of the most commonly known meta teams in the game, the Iron Arden comp, and that is one of the best PvP teams we know for a reason. It's insane damage and actually packs an absolute punch, so I use it myself, absolutely love it, works in PvE, works in PvP, is great, but I still feel like people underestimate the damage Carolina can really deal, just because she kinda does it undercover, can we say it like that? She hides it a little bit. So that is something we want to uncover today, because we want to show a spotlight on her. I want to show you guys how much damage she can really do. So let's just hop into a fight and let's see what that damage potential really is. So those are stronghold guards. Those are basically bosses in battle drills, and those are a bit special. And they are special in the sense that they are bosses with a boss HP bar, but we fight 5 enemies at the same time, and they can be CC'd, crowd controlled. If you have never heard that word, we inflict effects on them that hinder them from acting. So in this situation we have immobilize, entangle and freeze that we inflict on those guys, and as you can see, every 3 seconds Carolina shoots her snowballs, and those snowballs do a ton of damage, because when you see that, as soon as they hit the enemy, we see all of those blue numbers pop up, indicating that magic damage is dealt, and those are clearly at the millions right now, so an absolute ton of damage. And was also quite visible by the damage counter that absolutely is skyrocketing, nearly hitting the 800 mil now. So now we're even over 800 mil, and that is an absolute ton. So the question really is, we kind of don't see a whole lot from her. Why is she dealing that much damage? And why at the same time is she in no Dream Realm boss team? Because there we really don't see her. There are no guides that say, yeah, use Carolina to fight Snow Stumper or something. Why is this the case? So we see 488 million here, which is very, very impactful. Arden, by the way, also with pretty insane damage. Shouldn't underestimate that guy. But let's check out these skills, and I will tell you if you want her at Mythic Plus, if you need 1 copy, or to which upgrade level you really want to get her. So starting off, her skills are not really that fancy. We have her ultimate skill, which I think is decent. She selects an enemy, deals 240% damage and freezes that enemy. Freezing in general is good. Freezing keeps the enemy from doing basically anything. For 6 seconds it's also kind of nice. Later even upgraded to 8 seconds. That in itself though is not really impressive, because 240% damage is not a whole lot. We see way higher numbers on other heroes, 420% for example on Vala, which is of course a whole lot more. We have a bit of an extra effect here. She creates an Arctic field at the position of the enemy she attacks and in the surrounding 2 tiles, and this Arctic field will inflict frostbite on the surrounding enemies every 2 seconds. Frostbite is a skill effect that reduces the enemy's haste by 15 for 6 seconds and can be stacked up to 3 times. So what that basically means is the enemies that are inflicted with it will attack slower and therefore gain less energy and will gain their ultimate skill a bit later, which is very beneficial and reduces the enemy's damage output, giving us more time to act and win a fight. So not really a bad ultimate skill, also not really her main thing. Neither is the next skill, the Freezing Nova, which is just a simple hit where we hit 1 target and the adjacent enemies, and we inflict 1 frostbite stack, the same as we saw before, with minus 15 haste for 6 seconds and can be stacked up to 3 times. So this one, not really anything important, decent skill, not that fancy. Next one though, Snowball Witchery, that's where the fun starts. That's really where the fun starts. Those are the snowballs, and those snowballs are crazy. So let me read that out to you. Carolina surrounds herself with 4 snowballs and automatically shoots a snowball to attack enemies every 3 seconds, dealing 130% damage to the targets under control effects. Each enemy can be attacked by a snowball every 2.5 seconds. Carolina creates more snowballs when they are all used up. So, I don't think this description is particularly good. What they basically mean is she will shoot a snowball at the target once this target is controlled. So once this target is under any control effect, she will shoot a snowball. And that also shows you one of her greatest strengths, which is a lot of attack hits. If we use a combination like Arden and Iron, where we easily inflict CC on a ton of enemies, or control a ton of enemies, we can shoot a lot of snowballs. Basically, every 3 seconds, if we have 4 enemies, we can shoot 4 snowballs at a time. So every 3 seconds we shoot 4 snowballs, each of them dealing 130% damage, or later on 150% damage. So that is very good. And now the disadvantage, there are enemies that can't be controlled. And the major example for this are bosses. Bosses like the Dream Realm bosses. They can't be controlled, so this skill doesn't really work out that well against the bosses. We can show that actually. Okay, I just set this up. Should be pretty easy to see what Carolina does there. And we see she created her snowballs, and really it's not much happening there in any way or form. Those snowballs really don't do anything, and we'll see the damage number of her actually at the end of the fight. But you can already see there is a bit of a difference when you look at the blue numbers. Not really too much happening. We don't really have a boss here that is very vulnerable to her as well. But yeah, not really a whole lot happening. Let's skip to the end of this. And there it is. Not really that impressive at all. 7.6 million. I mean, it's not super bad. But all damage by Shark here actually, so not really that impressive either. And keep in mind, she actually has a weapon plus 10 on her, so that also helps, of course. And that is everything you basically get in the base version of this hero. Once you get her to Legendary Plus, you unlock the Hero Focus, which of course you should upgrade, a crit increase after casting Snowball Witchery 5 times, which is pretty easy to achieve. So a ton of crit there just for her, pretty good. Can definitely use that. But now for the big one, Mythic Plus upgrade, a huge one on her. And this is called Ice Vortex. That is her equipment. This chandelier is called Ice Vortex. When casting Snowball Witchery, so there are snowballs, Carolina permanently increases the damage of these snowballs by 10% up to 7 times. On the third cast of Snowball Witchery, Carolina deals AoE damage to adjacent tiles with newly produced snowballs and reduces enemies' magic defense by 15% for 6 seconds. And that explains a lot actually, because that is the reason why you saw so many blue numbers at the beginning. Those snowballs were not only hitting one single enemy, but she shot 4 snowballs and they also hit the adjacent enemies. And as we pulled them together with Iron, that means basically every snowball hit every enemy that we pulled together. So we shot 4 snowballs at basically 5 enemies that were pulled together and did a total of 20 hits by that, which is an absolute ton. Every time she shoots 4 snowballs, and if all of those enemies are close together, she will hit them all. And she will reduce the magic defense, which is insane because all of her damage is magic, of course. Bit of synergy there with, I guess, some other magic damage dealers like Arden, Iron, maybe ODE. Could be quite interesting in that situation. And we can even upgrade that. So the magic defense reduction is upgraded on plus 10 to 25%, which is a major upgrade that I think you should get. And at plus 15 to 30%, compared to the 25, the upgrade is of course not as great as from 15 to 25. So I think it's optional, even though I personally really want to get it. And the plus 5 upgrade uses Snowball to attack the same controlled enemy hit by Carolina's normal attacks. So with the normal attacks we now get the option to shoot a snowball, which is the reason you saw some snowballs basically in the fight at different times. When you don't shoot the 4 snowballs at the same time, you might get another one with the hit from your normal attacks, so that is also, I guess, quite interesting. Mainly, I think you want to go for the magic defense reduction because that is the big part. And for the last we have Enhanced Force. Carolina inflicts Frostbite when dealing damage with Snowball Witchery, so I think it's a nice buff. It is indeed very nice. We see the enemy. Once we do that, we will shoot snowballs with Snowball Witchery, and then also inflict frostbite, so reduce the enemy's haste. For PvP, that is a very nice skill, because we hit the enemy and they will attack us less. We'll get to their ultimate maybe a bit later, so we can really reduce their attack speed with this, which is quite nice and something that I really like. So for PvP, in my opinion, this is really a must-have, just so you get more damage out faster than your enemy. What's the situation though with PvE? What do I recommend here in terms of upgrade status? Well, I think you need at least Mythic Plus. While she is usable before that, the upgrade at Mythic Plus is just so huge. I would say that is probably 80% of her damage. Probably. Didn't really calculate it, but this is just a ton of damage, and especially if you want to do something like the fight that we saw at the beginning. Which I think there is no reason to not watch again, this time with the floor bell though. If you want to do stuff like this and pull enemies together with iron, hit them a bunch with Carolina, and get those huge damage numbers against Stronghold Guardians, well, then most definitely you will want to have her at Mythic Plus. And beyond that, I also use her for general PvE, which means I did most of the AFK stages with her once I got her and Iron done, which is a bit of an investment. That is definitely probably not the most free-to-play friendly strategy, I assume, because you need a +10 weapon on Carolina and also +10 weapon on Iron. So in that sense, yeah, it is a bit expensive to do that. But once I got that, it basically carried me through Abyss, through all of the AFK stages, because it's just such an insane way to deal damage, to CC the enemies at the same time. And CC is still one of the best ways to deal with PvE enemies, because you just keep them from attacking, no matter how much damage they really do. If they can't attack you, well, you are safe. And then just dealing a ton of damage with Carolina, which we have in every single fight, even if we go for a shorter fight, like for example a Trial of Abyss stage or an AFK stage. Even in those situations, we see her doing a ton of damage and clearing up enemies. Oftentimes when I struggled in AFK stages, I noticed that it was just her dying a bit too early. So I just made sure she survived a bit longer, and most of the time that would just solve the problem. So in those situations, I think, I mean, while you kind of want to go for at least Mythic Plus, there is also a certain incentive to go even further. The reason for that being, of course, we want more stats. And more stats are, of course, achieved by upgrading the heroes. So Supreme Plus will give us, well, not the highest number of stats, there are obviously the Paragon levels afterwards, but the highest readily achievable amount of stats will be achieved by Supreme Plus. So I think Supreme Plus is what you really want, and usable is, she's probably at Mythic Plus. Yeah, that is what I would say. Regarding her weapon, I will go to +15. I was pretty fine at +10 as well. But I would recommend you go there, because the +25 magic damage reduction or magic defense reduction is worth it. If you have her at +5, mechanically you are already good. You are already good, she will work. I think even with the base version she will work. But you really want to have the extra stats. There is some haste in here as well, there's some attack in here, all of that is pretty nice, and the magic defense reduction will be very noticeable, I promise. So definitely a nice hero to upgrade. So, did you use Carolina before? Tell me that down in the comments. Are you happy with her? This time around I didn't really do a PvP team, because there is just the Iron and Damien comp. We showed that so often in the videos. I think it's not really something we need in here. I just want to show you guys why she deals damage, and why you should probably use her in the situations that she's good for. So not really against Dream Realm bosses, but against all CCable stages. So with that in mind, I wish you a great day. I hope you subscribe to the channel, and we'll see us in the next one.